Warm welcome to this event presented by Mikro Grafeio. This is our Thrive session where we have the honor of inviting inspirational individuals to impart their wisdom to us. Today, we are honored to have Satyanarayanan V, also known as Satya, joining us. Satya is not only a seasoned technology professional and a thought leader, but also a captivating speaker and an inspiring author. With an impressive 34-year journey in the IT industry, Satya's wealth of experience is remarkable. He is the visionary founder of Yashmiya Consulting and Technologies, an IT firm specializing in technology services and consulting. Before venturing into entrepreneurship, he held influential global leadership roles. Beyond the world of technology, Satya's achievements extend to the realm of chess. He is internationally recognized as an Elo-rated chess player with notable accolades such as finishing as the runner-up to Vishwanathan Anand's in the National Sub-Junior Chess Championship at Goa in 1983 and a clinching victory in All India Inter-University Championship for the Madras University at Bodh Gaya in 1985. His exceptional chess career spanned 13 years, boasting multiple championships and achievements, including securing the third rank at the National Sub-Junior Championships in Mysuru and Hyderabad in 1981 and 82. Satya's commitment to empowering India's youth is inspiring. He has ambitious plans to engage with 100,000 young minds in the coming years, a testament to his dedication to our nation's growth and development. Let's warmly welcome Satya as he imparts his valuable insights and experience with us today on the topic, Tomorrow Never Comes. We will open the floor for questions near the end of the session. Feel free to leave your questions in the chat box and we will pick it from there. Over to you, Satya. Welcome once again.
Priya, thanks a lot for that loving and wonderful welcome. Jay, I thank you especially for lovingly inviting me. It was a 4-hour marathon that Jay and me had one of the late weekend evenings. And at the end, Jay said, Satya, why don't you speak? That means that he was speaking all the time. Then I realized he's inviting me for the Thrive session. A very good morning, a good afternoon, and good evening. People have joined from across the continents. I know, so that way it's a warm welcome to this session. It's more of a thought sharing. I would think about it that way. And there is a particular format that I would like to engage during the course of this session. We have a context setting, a core of what we want to listen, what we want to debate about, what we want to carry it in our mind, to our home, to our heart, and then we will conclude. There is a small bit of exercise that I want everybody to do. Don't worry, it is not making you run around. It is a very, very small exercise. We'll see about that. And last 15 minutes, we plan to keep the floor open for discussion, suggestions, thoughts, questions, whatsoever. Now, as I said the context, I would like to do something very, very simple. Just give me a minute. I hope all of you are able to see the screen, right?
Yeah, yes.
Shanmugi. Vela 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 mela mela vela vela ambalaikkum vela puppaniya pona ambalaikkum vela kala mala mala kala mala mala vela vela ettanayu vela eppavume vela athanaikkum undu vetriyanum mala Shanmuga unadu padaithil uyarந்து விளங்கும் பிணையா ambalaikkum vela puppaniya pona ambalaikkum vela
So, I think I have conveyed partly what I wanted to convey by means of extracting that one from the super duper hit from Kamal Crazy Mohan some 27 years ago. This is the way most of the lives are led today. We wake up, whether it is morning or midnight, I don't know, we wake up somewhere. We keep doing things, we keep running all over the place. Sometimes we know what we do, sometimes we don't know what we do. Many a times people want us to do something, we are unable to say yes or no, and we keep running. And there are certain things we love to do, we want to do. And do we ever find time to do that? That is the most interesting question. These years, I mean, if I go back to the 90s, there was not so much of a message explosion happening all around us. I distinctly remember somewhere in 99 or something, internet was coming around. There was some software called as ICQ. It means ICQ. And to do a chat, you have to establish some kind of a protocol. You accept a time and then you chat with some near and dear ones who are far away. Now, 27 years later, we are bombarded by messages all around. Official email IDs, personal email IDs in Yahoo, Gmail, and whatnot, WhatsApp groups, messages, LinkedIn, Meta, Instagram, and this is only the messaging side of the story. If at all we walk into a corporate and if we are playing any kind of a role, then there are annual reviews, quarterly reviews, weekly reviews, daily reviews, hourly reviews, sometimes even a minute by minute, as if something is going to happen in that minute, right? And if we just try to keep quiet for a while, the Reserve Bank of India and the banks will not let us sleep peacefully. There will be some kind of a know your customer you have to renew. There will be a locker agreement that you will be asked to repeat again. They will give a deadline. By December, you need to do. You meticulously do it. 2 months later, you will get a mail. You think that you have done. You keep on getting that mail. You get worried. You call the bank. They will mention to you that the Reserve Bank has amended the agreement. So you have to resubmit it again. May, June, July comes. You have to run behind your auditor, get your tax returns filed. And before that, you have to run behind yourself and gather all the data that is required for that. Right? And then if we walk in our society, there are plethora of issues that we are either absorbed into or either we are made to get into. So that's the kind of lifestyle we all lead today, most of us. So this particular discussion, this particular topic is about a quick, calm introspection of how can things be better, if at all they can be better. And whatever we are going to talk today may not be applicable to everyone all the time, but I have absolute conviction in saying that it is applicable to most of the people most of the time. So with that caveat, with that little bit of a disclaimer, let us get into tomorrow never comes. Several years ago, I was growing up in the small little French town called Puducherry, about 160 kilometers south of Chennai, a small town. And to this day, one half of the town carries names in French for the streets. And the entire town is within a round. In French, they call it boulevard, meaning a round. And most of the things could be covered within that round. I learned cycling thanks to my eldest brother. I learned cycling somewhere in some 10th standard or something like that. And when you have a cycle in Pondicherry, it was a double luxury. Your boundary expands beyond the boundary. And in one of my cycling sprints, I happened to go 2-3 kilometers away from my house. There happened to be a graveyard, and I read something which shook me. What it was written on the outside of the graveyard was, Indru Ivar, Nalai Ni. Translated into English, it simply meant today him and tomorrow it is you. As a growing young boy, death was not the most pleasantest of things that I was keen to think about. I was not a Siddhartha at that point of time to contemplate on death. So I immediately cycled back home. Later on, I happened to read one of the classics in Indian epics, the Mahabharata, which carries 5 distinct conversations known as the crest jewels of Mahabharata. One of the most interesting conversations is between Yudhishthira, the prince, and an Yaksha, a demigod, let me put it that way. The context is something like this. His brothers have fallen down, attempting to consume water without permission, and they have fallen dead, in fact. So Yudhishthira goes, he's always the ever patient man, cool as a cucumber kind of a fellow at everything. Sometimes it doesn't work, but at this point of time, it worked. So the Yaksha asks certain series of questions to Yudhishthira, famously known as the Yaksha Prasna, or the conversation between Yaksha and Yudhishthira. There are more than 100 questions. When I was just reviewing it last night, it is easily 100 questions. On the 32nd section, which is about a set of 4 questions each, a very interesting question is thrown by Yaksha to Yudhishthira. What is the most amazing thing on earth? The answer from Yudhishthira is simple. He says, people keep dying every now. Human beings see that, yet they think that death will not come and grab them tomorrow. Once again, that message of Indra, Ivar, Nalai was echoed thousands of years ago in the classic epic Mahabharata. Now let me move about a little bit to rev up the spirit. I was introduced to reading classic comics like Asterix and or Tintin from one of my elder brothers, my second eldest brother. And to this day, I enjoy it. Between me and Jay, we share this passion of reading Asterix to this day. It has profoundly deepened, expanded my vocabulary in an immense way. And whenever I am tired after a full day of some 13, 14, 15 hours of work, I just grab my pad, I flip on one of the Asterix comics, and I'm quite absorbed into it. I can regain my energy all the time. The Asterix comics runs like this. It's about a small village somewhere in France, those days known as Gaul, resisting the Roman Empire of Julius Caesar, and they had a druid who could prepare a magic potion, giving them superhuman strength for a while. They had a chieftain by name Vital Statistics. Every name has a meaning. Vital Statistics conveys the same kind of a thing. The Gauls were not worried about anything. They had only one fear, that tomorrow the sky may fall on their head. And Vital Statistics used to say that tomorrow the sky may fall on our head. But good thing is, tomorrow never comes. So with that, let me introduce the title. Whenever in a topic the title is introduced, a big round of applause can be given. Even in a cinema, this happens these days. Otherwise, you are in the climax, you still don't know what is the title of the film. So here I have done the honor by saying tomorrow never comes from the great Gaulish chieftain, Vital Statistics. Does tomorrow never come? Is a quick question that we are going to ask ourselves. This is the context. We saw Kamal in the role of a female, the Avaishan running all through the day, and we could correlate ourselves with that dual role that he was playing. He was playing, she was playing, whichever way we look at it, and a mad life, whether it is corporate, whether it is entrepreneurship, whatever we do, societal, family, everywhere we keep running around, and there are things that we want to do, and unfortunately, we do not find time. And we think that we will do it tomorrow. Does that tomorrow come, or tomorrow never comes? That is what we are going to talk about. Right? Now, if I look at this whole way we lead the life, it is akin to, it is comparable to a tunnel, a very dark tunnel. That is the reason why I'm calling it as a tunnel. We don't know what is happening outside the tunnel, and somewhere deep within us, there is a small hope. There will be light at the end of this tunnel. If you ask somebody, they will say that when I retire, I will be doing this. After I move out from this job, I will be doing that. There is always that faint hope somewhere lurking deep within us, which makes us feel good. But we are all the way traveling through the tunnel in darkness, completely closeted from many things which we otherwise want to see. So let us see, how do we deal with this tunnel situation? What could be the light that would be brought in? So this is the context. The second part of the story where I move in, it is to the core of today's discussion. Please carry it. First, we saw the context of the way we run and what is tomorrow never comes. And now we quickly move on to the core of what we are going to today. So since Mikro Grafeio has a very nice tagline that beyond workspaces, I'm going to keep all these conversations outside of our business life, corporate life, entrepreneurship, whatever you may call. And I want this to be applied in our day-to-day life, in our practical life, in our personal life, things beyond workspaces, really and literally. The first, there are 5 dimensions which I'll be touching upon with personal episodes, examples that I've seen in real life myself. And when I say one example, I'm sure each one of you can narrate or correlate with 10 examples for each of those things. The first and foremost is love. Love, not necessarily depicted the cinematic way, the general love. We want to share our love with near and dear ones. It could be grandparents, it could be parents, or it could be in-laws, spouse, children, siblings, elder, younger, nephews, nieces, friends, neighbors. But are we able to do that? Now, just going 23 years back in time, again I pick up another Tamil film, Kandugonde. There are many couples come in that film. And the couple that I'm going to choose for elaboration is Ajit and Tabu. Ajit wants to get into the film down. He is crazy busy. He is unable to converse with his love subject, Tabu, which pushes her into desperation, and she chooses to leave India forever, for good, leaving Ajit because he is not responding to her messages. She is planning to go to California, software engineer. You remember 2000, no? Y2K and all that kind of a story. Cinema being cinema, the director is able to bring Ajit just at the time when the bags are getting loaded into the car. The hero and heroine see each other, then there is a lot of emotion, and then they are able to forgive everything, marry and live there ever happily. But does that happen always in life? Let me tell you a touching episode which I happened to see in one of my previous jobs. One of my team members, not directly in my hierarchy, maybe some 3-4 levels down, was very upset or very stunned about something. And one of my closest managers told me that he needs to be motivated. I asked what happened. Apparently, it was the exact Kandugonde story. But the unfortunate twist was he was busy with something in his life. He was not able to respond to his lover, girlfriend, whatever you may call it. Unfortunately, she jumped off the 6th floor in a building in OMR. She was no more. By the time he realized this, it was too late. That tomorrow never came for him. So when I give this example, I'm sure each one of us can correlate with hundreds of examples. When the pandemic, COVID, struck, we saw it happening literally. There were people whom we thought, when we moved away from the office for a while, we thought it's for 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 6 weeks. But then finally, when things were resolved, when all over India the vaccines were administered, we had lost a lot of people whom we thought we will be meeting again. That never happened. So when we take this aspect of love, I never consider that there is a tomorrow to express our love. It could be just a call. It could be a message. It could be a birthday greeting. It could be anything as simple as anything that you may think for. Just think, if it is about your grandparent that you're having somewhere, they don't need your money. All they need, if you can just go and sit next to them, hold their palm, hold their hands, and just spend time, not even talking to them, just listening to them. That gleam in their eyes will convey you the strength that you need for your life. But unfortunately, the way we lead, the way we are led in life, we want to do this. We know what would happen, but unfortunately, we don't have the methodology of doing it. And this could vary from people to people on with whom we want to share that love. So the first thing I want to emphasize, the first and foremost is, we may or we may not have an opportunity to express that love tomorrow in the way that we want. It may change. The second subject that I want to touch upon is everybody's interest. It is investments. When you talk to somebody, when you explain or when you listen to them, they want to invest they are earning, they want to create wealth, they want to do planning, but they think that they will do it tomorrow. And that tomorrow never comes. The market will go up, it will come down, it will go up, it will come down. By the time they decide to get into some kind of an investment, whether it is buying real estate or gold, commodity, whatever it is, by the time they swing into action, a significant portion of investment time would have got evaporated. I will tell you about a book which I happened to read surprisingly during a vacation. Last December, as a family, we were in Assam and Meghalaya, and I had carried a book called The Psychology of Money. It was recommended by one of my good friends. It was a small book. I thought, let me have it. If at all we are having a break, I would read it. During this tour, it so happened that most of the late evenings were pretty much free. And after dinner, I could always steal a few minutes of reading into that book. In this book by Morgan Housel, right in the beginning, within the first 3 pages, you will see 2 anecdotes or 2 episodes. One is about a gentleman who passed away in the year 2014 at the ripe old age of 92. His name is Ronald James Reed. So what is so great about Ronald James Reed, who happened to die at an age of 92? The thing is, most part of his life was inconspicuous. He was cleaning cars, he was a janitor for some 40 years or whatever. That is the thing he was doing. When he passed away and when his will was read, he had left a whopping $2 million for his stepchildren, grandchildren, and another $6 million for a local hospital, coming from somebody who was cleaning, who was fixing cars in a fuel station. More or less at the same time, there was another person whose name was hitting the newspapers. This gentleman's name is Richard Fuscone. Richard Fuscone had studied in one of the great institutes, the Harvard. He had made tons of money at some young age. Somewhere around 40, he retired. What he did was he started investing in properties. He was expanding his investment into only one dimension of properties, real estate in Connecticut. This was all happening in early 2000. And when 2008, when the disaster struck in the form of the economic crisis, he was made nothing in no time. So somewhere in 2014, the last of his properties were auctioned. Compare the 2 stories which The Psychology of Money tells you. One is a not to mention kind of a guy, no great career, no great education, but he left $8 million for posterity. Another is a guy who studied in the biggest of institutes, worked with Merrill Lynch as a great executive, retired at 40, and then was seeing all his properties getting auctioned off one after the other. So investment in life, because if we don't create wealth for ourselves, generally I am saying, it's not going to come from somewhere. Not necessary, not everybody carries an inheritance, or even that inheritance may run into challenge, dispute, whatever. So it is important, it is compulsory for us to think, for us to put few minutes or few hours in a day, in a week, in a month, on where we are and are we sufficiently taken care of. The first dimension that we saw was about love and sharing it. The second dimension that we saw was about investment. Let me move into the third dimension, G. G, I am going to expand as generosity. About a week or 2 back, I was reading some article on LinkedIn. One particular post caught my attention. It was about a book written by Harish Bhatt, which was becoming a bestseller, popular, whatever. I went into Amazon and ordered it immediately. Tomorrow never comes. And that afternoon itself, the book was surprisingly delivered. Very fast, within 4 or 5 hours. In this book, Harish talks about various episodes that he had seen within the office environment. He calls it as office secrets, about 50 of them. One particular thing that he elaborates caught my attention, and it had a profound impact for this topic, which is about generosity. As a budding, aspiring author, Harish wanted to get some guidance, and there was a gentleman, very, very senior executive in Tata Sons by name Gopalakrishnan. So he sought his time for taking advice about writing a book. To his surprise, Gopalakrishnan shared his time, about an hour, and listened to him patiently, his thoughts, his theme, and all that kind of stuff, gave him sufficient evidence, say guidance, and much later was keeping track on how his book was progressing. Finally, when the book was ready, he read the entire manuscript and gave him suggestions. A very senior executive need not be doing all that, but that generosity is something great leaders do. Let me tell you a personal example. A very good friend of mine is a CEO in some company, almost the same time last year. For an entrepreneur, one thing is everything that we have to do in the beginning, everything. It's not a corporate life. Every bit of thing, the founder, the co-founder, or the couple of people will have to do. So I was just setting up our Microsoft email system. I just called him which kind of license to use, etc. He said, Satya, why don't you connect on a VC call? It was somewhere around 8:30 or 9 p.m. After a day long, he connected on a Zoom, a virtual call. He spent 2 hours of his late evening with me, helping me to go through the complete steps and enabling my exchange system. And the first test mail was successfully sent across. Absolutely, there is no need for him to put that 2 hours. He can always say that 1 or 2 steps, take this URL, go about it, give me a call when you have a doubt. But that generosity is what creates deeper and deeper friendships. So whenever somebody is trying to reach me, I always try to reach back to them within 24 hours. If I'm not right now, if somebody is calling me, obviously I cannot take their call. But I have taken a vow that within a period of 24 hours, whatever is the message form that somebody is trying to reach me, I will get back to them. Quite often, people could be having an emergency situation. It could be about which doctor I should take my mom for consultation. She's having this pain, or which one I should do. What should I be doing? One of the evenings, I got a call from somebody asking some guidance on whether his son should take this job or not. If I don't respond to that call and that conversation then and there, and return the call after 2 months, there may not be any relevance. People reach out to us, and if we are in a position to give them that bit of solace, courage, support, guidance, wisdom, whatever you may think of, and especially when it comes to medical queries or medical support, I doubly amp up myself in terms of sharing that information, because it might become very useful or very critical to people. So generosity, the way Harish points out, is very easily practicable, enforceable by us in all aspects of life. When somebody is reaching to us, there must be a reason why they are reaching. Not returning a message or not returning a call for a week, for a month, for several months, absolutely doesn't make sense with me. The fourth dimension that we will take upon, just to recall, we saw about love. Second, we saw about investments. The third, we saw about generosity. There is slowly a pattern that is evolving, and it will soon become evident, clear. The fourth word, or the fourth dimension that I am talking about, is going to talk about is health. All of us know that the health is something which we attempt to maintain, and then all these circumstantial forces around us, within us, make us lose that amount of health. It could be stress, it could be lack of sleep, not eating on time, acidity, diabetes, genetic formations, all those kind of things. The body is a very intelligent engine. It attempts to give signals to us time and again, whether it's the form of a blood test, which is done every year or every 6 months or whatever, or some niggle, some pain. The body attempts to give signals. Ignoring the body signal and just pushing the engine farther and farther is not a great idea. I am sure all of us have heard about at least one personal instance where someone had a pain on the left shoulder They rushed to a hospital. It was just in time. An angio was done. A stent was kept. In some other cases, it happens to be a mild attack or whatever. So there are various scenarios where the body attempts to give those signals, ignoring the body signals, thinking that tomorrow I will do this test. Next week, I'll go and meet the doctor. Nothing will be wrong with me. When I've never had any history or family history or anything like that, and ignoring it for weeks, months, only degrades the situation. The body will finally give desperate signals. It will become an SOS. And when we conclude, I will expand on why we should attend to signals immediately or in an agile kind of a way. So health is a dimension which all of us are very, very keen about. We don't want to live on medicines as much as possible, at least till the age, turn 60, 70 or whatever. That's at least our aspiration, I should say. The final dimension, again, let me recollect. We saw about love, we saw about investments, we saw about generosity, then we saw about health. Ligh are the first letters of these words. Obviously, the last one has to begin with letter T. Light, and the reason will become clearer shortly. The T that I'm going to talk about is tours and travels. As we run around, do we take time to relax? Do we travel? Not the corporate travel, jet setting and all that. Do we travel with family or friends? Do we enjoy our time? Do we go to places that we wish to see? Whether it is South America or whether it is Northeast India or whether it is Australia, it could be anywhere. But are we able to plan? Are we able to think about it? The one beauty of tours and travels is the more you are able to do it younger, it's easier. 5 years back, we were in Bhutan. And there was one particular trek that my younger daughter had chosen. Half an hour into the trek, I thought I had done the most stupid thing on earth, believing her and getting into this trek because it was kind of stretching on me. The young guide who came with me was quite motivating. Sir, you are doing very well. Sir, you are doing very well. And after that half an hour was gone, slowly I got accustomed to the act of trekking. The beauty is once you are, for every height, your lungs, your heart works a little bit faster, gets acclimatized. Once you're used to that rhythm, the next 3.5, 4 hours, it became easier and easier. Last year, when we were in Meghalaya, we had gone to a particular place called as a double-layered bridge. And from there was another spot, which was another 2 hours of trek. The guide here was a little bit teasing. Madam Saab and Bache, both of you can do. I am not too sure about, sir. This was really provoking me. I said, no, I think let me do it. I was able to do that. A little bit more of time taking. And we covered the 10 hours of stretch up to the Rainbow Falls and come back. Why I'm saying that story is I could do this at 50, I could do this at 55, but I'm not sure whether I'll be able to do it at 60, 65 or 70 because your knees may not cooperate. Your heartbeat rhythm may not cooperate. So there are certain things that we have to, if we want to see certain places in life, it is important to do them when we have more options or when we have more energy in the body. So the 5 dimensions that we saw, love, investments, generosity, health, tours and travels, constitute one word. That word is, Priya, you know that word, right?
Yes, sir.
Light. So the word that we have constructed out of these 5 dimensions beyond workspaces, because whatever we saw, love, investments, generosity, health, and tour is beyond workspaces. It's about our personal life. It's about ourselves, the way we want to live in the society, and that constitutes light. And this light cannot happen at the end of the tunnel. Just recall when we started this discussion, I said we are going in a tunnel, as if in a tunnel. We are covered all around and we expect light at the end of the tunnel. But this light, what I talk to you right now, should not be deferred for tomorrow. The light has to be through the tunnel. All the instances that I shared with you and thousands of such instances that you can add layer upon layer to these dimensions of LIGHT will become emphatic that we can't differ them forever. One thing is the priorities may change. The health may become a priority for somebody maybe 40 plus. Love is a permanent priority. You can't dethrone it from that number one spot. Investments may not be that critical for somebody who has turned 60 and who has thought through well, has a retirement corpus, etc. So each of them may have a different priority. In generosity, for me, is a continuous kind of a game. But the age and stage in which we are leading our life may shuffle LIGHT this way or that way, but it is imperative that this LIGHT is a constituent part of our life, not for tomorrow, at every moment we breathe, even now. Now the question is, Priya asked me this question when we are debating about this topic. We know the context, we know how our lives are led. We know there are these 5 dimensions, for example. There could be more dimensions somebody may be adding. How do I bring it into practice? That is the biggest question. It's not that I've told you the Einstein's theorem, which was unknown to you all this while. You know this all the while. And yet, there could be a factor which is holding us back. And how do we go about it? Coming from the IT industry, I will give an example which is very easy and well known for anybody who has a basics of computing. The first thing that I would like to talk about, computing is nothing but 3 aspects. A CPU, which is basically the processing power, a memory with which it deals, and then the networking. If one of these components is not working or not available, the whole game of computing, whether it is natural intelligence or artificial intelligence, is not going to work. You need computing, you need memory, and then you need some kind of a networking. When we say computing, the most important, the heart of any computing is what is known as a CPU, or a central processing unit. We built CPUs. Now let us learn what the CPU teaches us. The CPU goes about its jobs in a cyclical way. It gives time sequentially, one after the other, to all the jobs that are piled up at its ports. It is waiting for signals and it keeps clearing them in a cyclical way. There are certain jobs which are prioritized or tagged higher. The CPU gives a few more of its processing ability to that cycle. This is the best way a CPU can run. Unfortunately, if there is a process, whether it is a download or whether it is some computing or something, when it hogs the computer, the CPU becomes completely tied to that. Nothing else happens anywhere. And then you might be forced to reboot or restart your system. But a normal CPU goes by a very clean cyclical pattern, gives time one after the other to everything that is lined up. And it is also having a bit of intelligence programmed into it through what is known as interrupts. When a CPU is doing something, it could be interrupted by an important task and it could be made to do something else. For example, when I am doing something, one big interrupt, powerful interrupt that can come for me is from my spouse. Obviously, I cannot ignore that interrupt. The same holds good for every one of us. It could be a call from the boss, it could be a call from the client. There could always be interrupts which takes away a slice of our time into something which is demanding, which is urgent, which has to be done at that point in time. So the best way to go about this game is to think ourselves as a CPU and have the ability to give time in a sequential way, prioritizing, deprioritizing based on demand all the time. The second aspect of the whole computing world is memory. Some are blessed with exorbitant, enormous memory. They may not need a tool. Some may not be so blessed to have a memory. In such cases, you need to use tools. The tool could be a very simple notepad and a pencil or a pen where you write things and where you strike them off. What should I do today? What should I do tomorrow? If you go to any of these tools, there are task managers. There are umpteen number of ways. Your mobile could give you an alarm. I should take medicine. 5 a.m. The mobile alarm will ring. Anything can be done. If you have got memory, use it. If your memory needs boosting or augmentation, create those tools which tell you to do those things at those specified points of time. The third aspect is the networking. Networking is about the connects, is about the ecosystem which we have built, and that ecosystem springs to our help whenever we are in need. Most often when somebody wants to do something, they don't know where to go to. If you have built the right network, it is exactly the same way. If you are going to a place which is having no network connectivity, the costliest phone in the planet is still useless. You need to have network to use your iPhone or whatever kind of phone that you are using. So without a network, it doesn't work. So when we are doing all these things, if you have built, I'm carefully choosing this word, a good network, you will be able to lean on that network. You will be able to tap upon that network to get that help or that support for a task that you want to do that day or within the immediate vicinity or whatsoever. Another important principle that I always carry in life is about options, not the stock market secondary options. It is about options in doing something. Whenever we want to accomplish, it is better that we have more options spreading from a left side to the right side, number of dates in which we can travel, the modes of travel, whatever it is. Generate options. You may not use them. For example, if someone's job comes under threat, it is important to generate options on what should be done. If there is a health problem, for example, the one who has followed the health aspect, when they see something, a heart murmur or something like that, when they go, they might be able to course correct with a lifestyle change, and that's all. The second level is medicines. The third level is possibly a stent. The fourth level is a cabbage or a coronary artery bypass graft or a surgery. So the more time elapses, the less options you have or more expensive options that you end with. Starting early gives you more options, even if it is travel or any of those things. The last dimension that I want to touch upon, when we are bombarded by so many things, we feel, should we take a decision now or should we defer it by some time? Very valid question. Whenever, we think of tomorrow never comes, it doesn't mean that at the end of this call, we just go out and do everything. There is a right time for certain things. For example, one of my car insurers started reminding 3 months before the insurance was elapsing. I don't need to bother about it now. A car insurance renewal takes half an hour. I could do it in the last week. The tax filing happens around end of July. I don't need to worry about it in January. But when July comes, it's better to begin that. So the question of deferring something, if I don't want to take a decision now on some subject for whatever reasons, let me tell you that is also a decision. I am not talking about something getting deferred due to procrastination, due to laziness, due to whatever. I'm talking about a conscious decision in not taking a decision is also a valid decision. I don't want to do this today. I want to do this 1 month later is a conscious decision. I want to do it today, but I'm unable to do it because of umpteen number of reasons. My boss is calling me to do this quarterly report has to go. I will think about it next quarter is all about things that we conjure up, which is where the tomorrow never comes and hits us hard. If it is a conscious decision to do tomorrow, and there are varied number of respectable logic, perfect. Absolutely, there is nothing wrong about it. But there are many things which cannot be left for a later day. So we are in the 47th minute. The platform is set now for the Q&A session. It was wonderful talking to you. There is a small homework that I told you that I will be enforcing upon you shortly. In a nutshell, I firmly believe that tomorrow never comes for most of what I do. I do it today. If it can be done today, I try to do it now. And this works very well for me in all the dimensions that I talked to you about, the LIGST dimensions, and including, for a moment, let me get back into the workspace also. Not only beyond workspace, within workspace also this works well. There could always be a question, by doing work this way, are we not stretching ourselves? Are we not distorting our work-life balance? I find it easy the other way. By differing things and by making them impractical or expensive, we complicate things. By planning them and by doing them well in advance or early, I have less stress, I have less pressure to deal with. So with that, I would like to conclude. The exercise that I am going to give you is very, very, very simple. I just want to see if this message tomorrow never comes has sunk into you. I know there are quite a lot of people who are participants in this Zoom call. If you know me already, if you and I are connected on LinkedIn, within the next 1 hour, I want a message from you, one line about this session. If you and I are not connected on LinkedIn, but you are on LinkedIn, send me a connection request within 1 hour. I would like to see whether tomorrow never comes or tomorrow really comes. This is one dimension which is a personal proof for me that the message that I was sharing reached the audience. The second part of the story, Priya will be sharing an email in the chat for the next 1 week. Just count how many times you are able to apply this concept of tomorrow never comes on LIGHT or anything whatsoever. Just a count and send a mail to that ID. We want to see how many people are able to make it as a practicable, practicable habit day in, day out. The chat already carries the email ID info@mikrografeio.com. So 1 hour, Satya gets a mail message on LinkedIn or an invite for all of you who are on LinkedIn. Within a week, this email ID will be populated with a count on a conscious attempt by each one of you to practice tomorrow never comes. That's it from me.
Thank you so much, Satya. What an incredible session it has turned out to be. Thank you so much once again. We'll just open the floor for some questions if someone wants to ask. I don't know why I feel Shankar wants to ask a question.
You feel like that, so you
No,
are
you
now.
immediately you took your mute off. So
He's ready to respond. He's generating options.
No, I was just thinking, the Satya and I go back a long time. See, the point here is sometimes you're so lost that this hits you. You don't even know what you want to do. You're running, the tunnel. Satya, what I'm trying to say here is, you said, okay, you call for an action, right? Like, why don't you just tell what you want to do that you're not doing? And maybe corollary to that, that's the essence of it. Now, suddenly, if you think, you're so used to running, like you said, like that cycle, Avaishan Mugi cycle, you're so used to running. Do you really know what you want to do? So I think that possibly needs a session even. What is your, your higher purpose, or what is that? When are you going to stop? If you stop, what are you going to do? Suddenly, there are different types of, questions that are coming out. So what would be your response for somebody if it hits? If they ask this question to themselves, they may not be able to find an answer immediately also. So would like to hear your thoughts on that.
Jay, I think that is one reason why I gave a light as a practical example. These dimensions are very critical and these should not be missed out. I know somebody is trying to write a book for more than 10, 15 years. He has the theme, he has been writing it, I know that personally. So people could have different aspirations. Somebody wants to do something, they keep saying about it, but they don't even take that one single step. If someone is not having any clue on what should be done, take this 1 or 2 things. Love and generosity are most powerful for me. The simple reason being, you may not be able to show that again to people.
Very true. Very true. I think the answer was there. Maybe just that I missed it. And that's a good thing. You can ponder into those topics in the LIGHT. For me, today, of the last few years, generosity has been the thing. Like, in fact, there is a quote that says, right, we are perishing for want of wonder, not for the want of, not knowing there are so many things to wonder around you. You're just searching for, there is no wonder in life. Everything, you could say thank you to everything,
Exactly.
Yeah. So, if you look at Christians have a good habit of praying before eating, as a practice. It's a very, very good thing. The prayer is not, it's actually saying a thank you. Like that, there are a lot of good things that you could thank, that every grain, how many people have worked towards that. So that is my emotion to that.
Very true, Jay.
point
In
that-
fact, it eases out you a lot when you are able to appreciate people for the apparently smallest act, whether it is getting you a cup of coffee or tea in the office. It could be anything. Just with a smile, when we say thank you, it not only gives them happiness, it gives us even more happiness. It takes away the stress from our body completely, body and mind.
In fact, incidentally, one story, I think it was Jayan in his office. There was a maid who makes, coffee, tea, etc. So he promoted he was actually talking about that in a, not promoted as such. He talked about it. That is actually also a trigger point. You should notice everybody. What she goes through, and everybody. So she became celebrity actually. She was just, I mean, I shouldn't be saying that, it's just her. But yeah, the point is, there's so much to wonder about that. There is so much to thank you, to everyone. So generosity would be the key. So with that, I stop. Otherwise, I'll continue talking. Priya, so I go on mute now.
Yeah. So, Satya, one question, which was coming in my mind. I know you spoke about procrastination and all. So today, I mean, this is, I won't say a disease or anything, but there is this thing in many of us, especially when it comes to things which we don't want to do. We have little hatredness towards it, or that doesn't come naturally to us, something like that, and we keep pushing those things for tomorrow, day after, and then one day we realize that, oh god, we should have done it earlier. This was as simple. So how to deal with it, how to push ourselves to get that thing right on the time?
Exactly. I think this is a wonderful question, Priya. It so happened that one of the, most likely the participant took part. A few days, I was sharing this link with him. He registered and then he said, Satya, sometimes I feel down. I know that it has to be done. I don't have the energy to do it. My answer to him was simple. Either you are a self-propelled vehicle where the energy comes from within. There are some category of people who can generate energy for themselves or for others. There is another category of people who needs a charging. Like a mobile phone, every day you need to charge them. Create a network. If you are self-propelled, nothing to worry about. If you need a push sometimes, I told you about the network aspect, right? If you have a motivating go-to person, just give them a call, talk to them 2 minutes. Whatever you want to do will happen. I mean, I'm not saying it will happen by default. You will have the energy to start working on it. For me, the personal motivator is if I have committed to something at no cost, I want to swerve away from what I have committed. If it has been committed, it has to be done. If it has to be done, it has to be done with utmost amount of care and excellence that we can pack into that. That's a life principle for me. I cannot deviate from that. So that motivates me all the time. But there are others who, when your mind is stressed out due to some reason, you need that energy, you need that gentle nudge. Create a network, create one mentor or create one well-wisher. If you have more, well and good. Reach them out. Sometimes it could be reading a book. Sometimes it could be listening to, say, an Ilayaraja music or whatever. Quite often I play music in the background and I do my work. All these things take away that fatigue factor, that stress factor, which can easily germinate within our mind and hog away precious CPU time. Rather than brooding on, oh, why am I like that? How should I go about? Just brush it away and start doing. The work starts reducing or coming down. I hope I answered you, Priya.
Sure, Satya. In fact, two things which also have helped me, which I've tried in the recent past. One is to have somebody ask me, to have an accountable partner. right? It could be at home or in office, and just tell them that I'm doing this, keep asking me as to where I am on that.
Nudge.
Yeah, and nudge, exactly. But you give the authority to somebody to ask, that way. And the other one was announcing it to everybody that I'm going to do something like that. So it's a sort of, I won't say pressure, but it's something like taking on us.
It
saying
keeps
that,
the wheel aligned to the tracks.
Exactly.
Priya, there are two things. I see Sriranjani raising her hand,
Yes,
and
yeah,
I
even
see
I saw that.
Karthikeyan Velu putting something on the chat. I think both are welcome.
Sriranjani, can we start with you? Yeah.
Hello, thank you very much for the session, Satya. It was a great session. I think I used to struggle with that a lot, like managing time. For example, in my life itself, I play Veena for past 15 years, right? I just need a little bit of a push to, showcase my talent outside and going for concerts and things like that. Like Priya was saying, I think I should be reaching out to my mentors, as you said just now, to get encouraged and do a little bit, that last step to promote myself as a proper Veena player or something. But the question is more from my son. I took him as well for this session. He had a question. So do you want to ask the question? Please ask.
Okay. What inspired you to do this session, and what inspired you to talk about this?
That's a very exciting, interesting question. The answer is, I am more or less like this. Whatever I spoke today is not theory. This is within me. This is my conviction, and I only speak what I am convinced about. And quite often I see people and I feel a little bit sad that people lose out opportunities, and then they come to me at a later point of time when they have run out of options. And then there are either no options or costly options for a particular problem they face. But if they simplify their lifestyle, if they are able to better manage time, if they are able to do things in a sequential, structured way, it is going to be immensely useful for people. And during my previous roles in my earlier organization, there are hundreds of people who have approached me for various suggestions, various things. And I have always felt that if people are able to do things in a better structured way, right amount of energy, right amount of thinking, it would be a worthwhile. And to more specifically answer your question, Ambarish, when Jay uncle in this call, when he invited me to talk, I shared 4 titles with him. The first one was Tomorrow Never Comes. This was liked both by him and Priya and me. There is an importance because this is relevant to us day in, day out, from a kid to a granddad. It is relevant to everyone. That is the reason why we chose this topic.
The topic was so great. That's why I wanted him to, definitely participate in it. He'll be learning a lot from it. Thank you so much, Satya. Thanks a lot.
Sriranjani, your coding was music those days. Now I'm happy to know that your music is being coded. Good.
Thank you, Satya. That was great. Thanks.
Thank you, Sriranjani. Karthikeyan?
All right. Yeah, thank you. Thanks, Priya. Satya, it's a great question. I think probably it leads to the question what you asked, right? What inspires us? I think this I'll tell, and I have some of the mentors here in this call. At any point of time, you actually get some inspiring quotes from them, right? It doesn't need to be like you need to always get in touch with them. Whenever you're down, you need to go there. But there are certain things it just registers in your mind, which kicks in and then pushes you forward. I had experienced a lot of such things. One important thing I just want to call out, right, is from my experience or learnings from others, started embedding in my life. I was also like this, like always work kind of person in the past. But I think at some point in time, I learned that, there is something else is important. So what I learned when it struck to me is, I think it's Jay who said that. But one day we were traveling and we took so much time planned. As a friends, we were traveling. We did a lot of planning. And then the moment we started driving, we were always conscious about whether we'll reach that destination on time and be there before sunsets. But we forgot to enjoy the beauty on the way. And so much there. And I think that simple thing struck to me that, I think we have to live for today, not always dream about tomorrow. Yes, we can have inspiration for tomorrow. So then this is one song I think I would definitely ask everyone to listen or look at the lyrics. There's a very old English song called Cats in the Cradle. I don't know how many of you heard it. I'll put that link in the chat. But it is, I think every one of us can reflect it. Okay, this is what the life we are living, which is not worth. You will realize it, and like the dad who was singing the song, we all will realize how much we are losing the present. And with that, I'll say that this is a great session. I think we need to inspire many of the folks with this type of sessions and messages. We have to live for today.
Thanks,
Thank
Karthi.
you.
Thank you, Karthik.
I
Jai
thank
Selvi, we have
Karthi for the questions, and there are two more: Balu,
Yeah.
Jai Selvi, and Muralidharan. Three who have raised.
Yeah, this is a very enlightening session, and especially the ninth concept. That was the mantra, knowingly or unknowingly, my parents have inculcated in me as well. What I see is, you said tomorrow never comes. I've seen that in, I'm taking my parents' example. My mom wants to learn English, and she has taken n number of efforts going for English tutorial classes. Until date, I never seen that she has been practicing it or using it, speaking in English. At one point of time, he had given up. Again, from my father, he is a Vastu consultant, and people would say, "Sir, your knowledge has to be captured. Why don't you write a book?" And he was motivated. He wanted to write. He said he will do it after his retirement. Then after his retirement, I think I got married after some 5 years after his retirement. So he was postponing it, saying that I have my marriage is his priority, then he will do it. Now, even after 18 years, I think at some point he has dropped that ball itself, writing a book or something. So that, I see that what you say is tomorrow never comes, or few things people give up for the life progress. So as you said, it's a mentor or it is not an inherent passion is what I feel. You may add to it whatever your thoughts on it.
The last portion I didn't get. Is there a question?
No, I'm just debating with you the thought processes that I want to discuss with you. You are saying tomorrow never comes and we need to do it due to procrastination. I'm seeing that procrastination will turn into whether it is a passionate thing for you to carry it and do it or not doing it. These are the two live examples from my parents I have seen. But all other things, whatever they wanted, I see that they have closed it or done it in their lifetime. But you said tomorrow never comes and we should avoid the procrastination, you said, right?
Yeah, see, the procrastination and tomorrow never comes, as I told as a caveat in the beginning, it is applicable for most people most of the times. It's not an universal mantra for everybody all the time. That was something that I clarified right at the outset. There are certain decisions which have to be deferred. Tomorrow never comes doesn't mean that I will rush out and do something right away, because it may not be an opportune moment, but that is a conscious decision. But not doing something or deferring it to a later time because of laziness, because of a work schedule, or because of tiredness, fatigue, etc., is something that I request, I urge, I exhort people to consciously introspect and find a better way for themselves.
Trying to manage that, I have 10 athletes. I think we can talk in Tamil, most of them are Tamil. இதுல வந்து என்ன ஃபீல் பண்றேன்னா, ஒரு கான்ஷியஸ் டிசிஷன் ப்ரியாரிட்டினால இட் கோஸ் இன்டு லோ ப்ரியாரிட்டி. அது எப்பவுமே எக்ஸிக்யூட் பண்ணாத மாதிரி போயிடும். ஒரு சிலர் முயற்சி பண்ணி அது கிடைக்கல அப்படின்ற மாதிரி விட்டுறாங்க மாதிரி இருக்கு.
It's a continuous calibration, right? You want to do something, you attempt, you are not able to get it is different, but not attempting is different from attempting and not getting it for various reasons.
Okay. Or by over the due course of time, they lose interest on doing it.
Yeah, it's a constant churn. It's a constant evolution around you, within you all the time.
Okay. So, see இந்த பையன் புளிப்புன்ற மாதிரி போயிடுற மாதிரி ஆயிடுச்சு. Sometimes people don't want to say. Okay, Satya. Thanks for your enlightenment.
Thanks. Balu, my dear friend.
Yes. First
We
of
had
all,
a
thank you very
long
much,
catch
Satya.
up last evening for 4 hours.
Yes, exactly, after so many years. And thanks for the invite, because you sent the invite today to join today, so I didn't. So perfect, going with the topic. In fact, you talked about, I like that analogy of that CPU, memory and network. But in those days, in the 80s, where we first learned computing, with that old 386 PCs, where network was not much
Relevant.
popular. So we learned the three things as CPU, memory, and input-output device.
Correct.
So therefore, first of all, thank you for the inputs today. So let us wait for our outputs. Only one question I wanted to quickly ponder, because I know it's getting late for the time as well. See, as you rightly said, one is the laziness or procrastination. Beyond these two things, generally, even persons who are not lazy, who have a perfect goal, who have a very clear vision or passion, as you said, a person who was waiting to write the book for 15 years. He's very clear about his goal and he's very passionate about it as well. But generally, it gets delayed for a specific two reasons, which I've seen in my own life as well. Is waiting for a perfect moment, even to express my love to my parent or to a brother or a sister. You don't know when to do it. Like, you wait for an opportunity, you wait for an appropriate time or a perfect moment, or to do some act in a perfect way itself. I want to start my YouTube channel, but I want to do it perfectly. So generally in life, you learn quickly and execute for a long time would be an ideal situation. But many of us, including myself in the earlier stages, we learn for a long time, we seek for a long time, we keep on looking for options for a long time. Therefore, the execution time becomes very, very limited. So, what would be your thought on it, and especially for the youngsters as we go along, how to overcome this? How not to wait for a perfect moment, or how not to wait for doing it perfectly, to learn quickly and implement, and learn as you go along. How would you suggest a proper way to do it, so that those with proper aspiration, those with proper goals, still they fail to achieve?
Thanks, Paul. I think I will compartmentalize your question into two segments. The first thing, expression of love, I don't time it. When I want to express it, I want to express it then and there, because I'm absolutely convinced about doing it immediately. If I have to do it tomorrow, I will try to do it today. If I have to do it today, I will try to do it now, right now. That has been my way of doing it. You're absolutely right. When talking about launching a YouTube channel or authoring a book, you need to create. For example, personally, I've written quite a few chapters of what I want to write, the book's title, the cover page, everything is there, but I consciously put it on a backseat for creating certain aspects and focusing a bit more on Yashmia. This is not due to procrastination. As I told the audience, it has been a decision to not to take a decision, and it is definitely not due to procrastination. Taking a decision and waiting for an opportune moment is not about tomorrow never comes. It's part of the planning game. If you are doing a good planning, a good risk analysis, etc., you will be able to time certain things better. For example, going to a vacation to Ladakh, say in the month of November, is absolutely impossible. It is snow-capped, the roads are blocked. Absolutely, it's not possible. When summer comes, that is that first 4-month window, you could think about it. There are things which will always have an opportune moment or an opportune time, and that you start planning. It is not about right now, here and now. But love and generosity, in my opinion, do not generally go for the planning moments. Just give it there. If I want to appreciate somebody, I just do it then and there, because something may change. We may not be able to give that appreciation to them, but that appreciation in time goes a big way in creating a very positive influence, a positive ecosystem. I hope I answered you, Balu.
Absolutely, absolutely. In fact, yes, there is no one single rule, as you rightly said. Yes, beautiful. Very nicely put. In fact, I'll just leave with a thought, like when I was young, normally in our culture, we always wait to start something on an auspicious day. So which is the universal auspicious day? My father used to say, which day can we start anything? which is the most universal auspicious day, used to tell a phrase. Hearing you, I was reminded of that. That which was called tomorrow yesterday, and that which will be called yesterday tomorrow, that is the most auspicious day, I'll say.
Exactly. Here, right now, here.
Thank you very much. And in fact, thank you once again for a lovely morning, and especially being on a vacation. It was a very nice thing, and I'm very glad that I listened to you in a very structured form after a very, very long time. Very beautiful. Thank you very much, Satya.
Thanks, Balu. Thank you.
Thank you, Balu. I think we just have the last one. Karthikeyan, you wanted to share some
No,
experience?
Karthikeyan has shared. I think Muralidharan was.
Muralidharan,
hi.
yeah, sorry.
That's okay. Hi, Satya.
Hey, Murali.
Satya and I, we connected recently on LinkedIn, but it looked like many years of relation. Satya, first thing, let me thank you for throwing light at the end of the tunnel and also throughout the tunnel.
Thank you.
I wanted to share an experience I had with you, which I think relates to one decision I took. You remember I was trying to do a brand naming for a client?
Yeah.
Well, that's part of my job. But then I jumped out to Satya and shared some documentation, because not that as a professional I don't know what to do, but then I thought when we had our first meeting with you, Satya, at the coffee shop, the favorite Starbucks, I thought your insights from the listening that I had that day could help me position myself to the customer better than I used to always do. And that actually worked. So that decision I made, actually the same day I wrote the document. If I hadn't done that, not that I don't disrespect procrastination or delaying decisions. There could be hundreds of reasons why people do that. True. It could be health, it could be an emergency, it could be anything. But that is one solid positive move I experienced when I quickly passed on the document and spoke to you. And you came back to me. This is the point I want to make. You didn't come back to me saying, yes, we will do it. I'll answer you tomorrow. I'll answer you right now. Instead, you chose a date. I'm bringing that point. You chose a date, alternate dates, to come back and have a brief discussion. And you remember we had a very, very brief discussion and we decided on 2 names.
Yes.
And one of those names are actually going to happen.
Oh, super. Congratulations. Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you so much. So retracting a bit, when we talk about, love, investment, generosity, health, tours and travel, I think each of them have got that amount of time and space to decide when you want to do it.
True.
But then anything that is related to love, I agree with you that there's no question of postponing it. Either you give it or you don't give it. And if you don't give it, you're the loser.
Very true.
I have been expressing this love to my customers too. They wonder why I speak in such personal terms, but now they started realizing. So today you gave me an excellent dimension of that thought, because whether it is expressing your love to your son, daughter, family members, wife, friends, anybody, if you don't express that love for doing some work for somebody, then I think you're at the wrong end of the tunnel.
True. Well said.
So I just wanted to give this experience, because the more I share with my community, like for example, today you're not my client, you're a friend on LinkedIn, but then I wanted to nudge myself. Though I was convinced what I was doing is right. But then going back to a person of your thought process, especially when you said you had visited so many temples and understood the cultures behind that, I thought naming a product on acupressure would, your thought process will help me. That's the reason why I really wanted to attend this session.
Thank you so much, Murali. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you so much, Murli.
Thank you.
I don't think we have left any questions for tomorrow, Priya. We stand true to our theme.
Absolutely.
All
Absolutely.
raised hands and all chat messages are acknowledged and responded.
Yeah.
Now I have to
Thank
rush
you
to my
so much.
LinkedIn message box and see what's
Yeah,
really
your 1
happening.
hour starts.
And my 1 hour has started half an hour ago.
Nice. Okay, with this, Satya, we extend
Yes.
our heartfelt thanks to you for delivering such an insightful and invaluable talk. Thank you so much for your time. We really appreciate your time and effort and everything today. Thank you so much. We also want to express our gratitude to all of you who joined us today for the session on Tomorrow Never Comes. Thank you for your active participation and engagement. Thank you
Thanks.
Thank you, Satya.
Thanks,
Thanks.
once
Jay.
again,
Thank
and
you for
looking
the
forward
excellent
to
session.
seeing you again soon. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for the excellent sessions.